What do we want to talk about today?
Let's talk about visions and actions. The first page, can you guess what it says?
Visions and actions.
It does.
You want to know what's
indeed.
actually funny about this book? So Kristyn, 7 Summit Snacks, gave it to me. But it says visions and actions in here. And then I'm pretty sure somewhere in here it says vision and action. Yeah. Approach the vision and actions journal. But it's the visions and actions journal. And then they say, let's delve into it and unpack each of the main areas. So I'm like, I think this was written by ChatGPT. But
Yeah.
that's what you can do with it. I'm kind of interested to go through it. I kind of want to do a YouTube video about it, where I think it's like, trying to come up with content buckets and a schedule that works. One of it's like, hey, how can we do like a weekly kind of roundup, right? Like here's
Golf Guide Book Club.
10 things from the week that like happened. Touch on what's going on the trending Twitter world, you know, like bring that discussion to people. Then I was thinking, this would be like an interesting little exercise to like work through with like a viewer. I think it's interesting because it's like you dive into some things like what was your biggest achievement in your early childhood?
Mine, personally. I don't even know. I feel like I didn't achieve much as a child. It's a deep
but
question.
like what would you say is? Like, you want to know what I said first to give
What
you a
did
minute?
you say?
I said riding a bike at 2 years old.
Okay.
I thought that was pretty big for me as like a really little person. Like I think that gave me some of the juice to be like, okay, what else is out there? Just being able to navigate and figure that out that quick. And I guess the other thing I'm proud of was just like trying to start little hustles. I guess like me and my buddy Lee used to walk around the neighborhood, knocking on people's doors in the winter, saying, "Hey, can I like shovel your sidewalk for $5?" Right? And like. Obviously never turned into much, but like I like that I had that desire, right? It's like a little dude.
I guess like I had this dirt bike when I was like 8 or 9, and I was riding with Andrew. And I was trying to keep up with him, but he was being a hooligan, right? And I blew up the clutch in it because I was just gunning it nonstop. And I had to walk the bike all the way back to the house. And I remember being so upset that my bike's done its toast. It won't even start. Spent the next probably 6 hours of the day. I took the engine out of it, took it completely apart, found the broken pieces, repaired them, put it back together the way I took it apart. And then we fired it up and it actually worked. And we got to ride for the rest of the night. So it was like, I think that fueled the kind of tinker mentality of like, let's just take it apart and see what it does, you know, just try at least.
I like that.
That's
interesting. Because you are like a Lego kind of.
I always liked the Legos when I was a kid. All that kind of taking something apart, putting it back together, seeing if it works, you know.
It is interesting to know how things work, I think. Like cars, right? Obviously,
definitely.
I'm leaning a little more into car culture now that I have a nice one. It's like you want to learn how to take care of it, and like the more you educate yourself, you're like, oh, that's what a transmission actually is, right? Like that's crazy. I didn't like really fully appreciate that when you just get in a car and like trust and like I don't know how this whole thing works. I don't know.
But it's gonna
until it doesn't, kind of a thing. And then it takes you down a wormhole of just watching YouTube videos, and you're like, at least I'm not some people. Like some people are ridiculous. Like they had a mouse in their car, so they let the snake loose, and then they got a snake law stuff in their engine. And you're like, wow. And like, hey, my helicopter light is on, and they're like,
what's a helicopter light?
The engine light. They thought it was a helicopter. So I don't know. I think this is a cool little book that like, I think if anything gives people something to think about themselves, right? Like just now. What was that thing like that like I can kind of hold on to is like this life is pretty tough and like grinds you down. That like sometimes it's important to understand why you started, right? And sometimes those early successes are what guides your life, right? Because you're like, oh yeah, I feel good about this. Like I want to do more of that, right? And you chase it. So there's a whole bunch of these. Like maybe
just
like
Q&As.
What was your biggest as a teenager, right? Like what about your career so far? So I figured these were just interesting questions that like I do want to like kind of try and make a series of like going through this. It's a borderline situation where like I hope they don't get mad. This collective hub. but like at the same time, I'm like,
I feel like that's free advertising.
yeah, they should give me an affiliate code.
Yeah, you should get an Amazon link for this.
Yeah, I think that's, that would be the goal, right? But
other people join along, they're gonna start filling it out, pretending like, yo, they're a piece of this, they're the third seat at the table. Yeah.
So maybe this is one thing we do, because I like the way this started.
Yeah, this could be interesting.
Beauty. Okay. Cut this.